What's up, Dunwoody? Welcome back to the podcast. It's all about Dunwoody, Georgia. My name is Matt Weber, and this is Billy Kramer. Show is brought to you by Village Orthodontics, one of Billy's neighbors at NFA and a friend of ours. And Billy has been on the...
Also, the Brett put my son's braces in.
Yeah. So, he's made us all look good.
Yeah. Well, not me.
No. You've paid for him to.
Right.
But you've been on the podcast a couple of times, and it's been a while. So catch us up. Tell us about NFA and where NFA came from. Say somebody is clueless. I think most people in Dunwoody know who you are, but give us the brief story of NFA at the beginning.
So real quick, I want to say something. It was about 5 years and 3 weeks ago that I was first on your podcast.
Yep.
Announcing that I was going to open in the gas station. So
and I appreciate you giving us that announcement too, because you could have gone to all of these different, big name magazines and, newspapers and that kind of thing. And you came to me and Justin to relay the news to our 50 viewers.
Yeah. As you know, all restaurant is, just local, right?
Yeah.
And this is my neighborhood. Dunwoody is my neighborhood. I live here. I follow the restaurant Facebook, the Facebook group and the What's Up Dunwoody group and all that stuff. And so this is where we communicate and find out about the community. So about NFA, as I just said, we had our 5-year anniversary, December 3rd. We had as big of a party that day as we did 5 years ago, which was not at all.
No party.
No. My favorite story is like 4 days into opening NFA, my sister, who lives in Dunwoody, she works for me now, called me. And she said, I heard the craziest thing. I heard you open a burger joint. I hadn't even told my family that I was opening.
Surprised they didn't get to a taste test.
Well, that's how unsure I was that it would last even 5 days.
Yeah.
That I didn't even tell my family, except my wife and my kids.
That's
so
funny.
We're in a gas station in Dunwoody, a Chevron. It's one of the cleanest gas stations on the planet in one of the nicest areas in the country. We're not asking you to eat off the pump. It's a nice kitchen, top of the line equipment. I use the same fryer that Chick-fil-A uses. We're having a good time. We love being a part of the community. We give back to the community. I get to do things like this because I have an amazing staff. On day one, it was me in the store. Like I would never be able to do a podcast at this time of day because it was just me in the store portioning meat and prepping and making sauce and seasoning and all that stuff. So
I think that's how it is in the restaurant game. You just got to put your time in there. But then you start opening new restaurants, right?
Well, we're trying. We're working on it.
That's the questions that I'm sure would be coming up in the comments if we had them.
Yeah, so I'm trying to open more locations. I hired a COO. His name is Brett Crowder. Brett used to work for David Abus at Dash. Then he left.
I know him well. He's been my real estate client twice now.
Oh, really? That's
yeah.
Fun. So Brett left to go run an operation in the airport.
Okay.
Which, if you can run an operation out of the airport, you can pretty much do anything.
That seems stressful.
It is the amount of layers of running an operation out of the airport. You can. It's like a 100-layer croissant. It's like a cronut.
Yeah.
But it's government bureaucracy and like corporate bureaucracy and just a nightmare. So learning what Brett did on a daily basis, I was like, okay, I think this is the person that is going to help me grow my business. Like you and with your home, your family business, you have your family to lean on, right? They're all a part of the business, right?
Yeah.
I don't have anybody. I don't have anybody to lean on.
Right.
And I never did. I mean, my family, of course, supports, but like, it was never like, hey, I need you to go to the store and portion meat, or I need you to go make the seasoning, or hey, can you hit Costco for me? It's always just me. And so, that was the hardest part of growing my business, was knowing that I didn't have anybody else to lean on.
Yeah. I think you did it the right way, though, starting with real tiny hours. I mean, it was 12-2 at one point, right? Like
it was
a few
11-3. We did
11-3.
11-3. Like 2 months in, we expanded to dinner time on Fridays and Saturdays.
Yeah. So you
And
could
then,
still have a little bit of life outside of the store.
yeah, my dad's dad, my grandfather, but I never met him. Grandpa Simon, he died when my dad was 19. When I was 19, my dad had a massive heart attack and quadruple bypass. He didn't die, fortunately. But my kids were approaching 18 years old when I started this business.
Yeah.
And there's no way in hell I'm letting anything I do for a living put me in a box early. I mean, I'm not saying I won't die early or before I think it's time, but I'm not going to help. My grandfather was super stressed out. He was diabetic. My father, super stressed out, became diabetic, drove to New York every day for 2 hours and back, spent 4 hours in a car every day, going from South Jersey to Brooklyn, and just about killed himself. I mean, he, and it's not, none of it's worth it. It's just not.
Yeah.
And if we have to make less money or have fewer things or whatever, then so be it. I'll be, that's fine. My kids are smart. They're going to be successful. They're not relying on, I can guarantee you this. They're not relying on anything I do to put them through the retirement.
Yeah. They want nothing to do with NFA.
No.
They're not planning on coming back after college, running the place for you.
No, I wouldn't.
I feel the same way.
Yeah. I don't know that I would let them. I mean, I
don't think my wife would let my kids run the pizza place.
If my son or daughter were like, Dad, I want to know everything about the business. I want to work for you. And I want to spend every day this summer. I'd be like, oh, okay. But they don't. Yeah. And that's okay. Like, my dad was in the shoe business for 55 years. I said, Dad, I want to come work for you. He's like, okay, you have to go spend a summer in Brazil. I was like, all right, I guess I'm not working for you. I didn't want to work in Brazil. He's like, you have to go work in a shoe factory and you got to do this stuff. I'm like, yeah, no, not so much.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a good thing. I mean, the shoe industry paid for me to go to college. My sisters, none of us ever had school loans. We were very fortunate. But it also killed pretty much ruined my father's life.
Yeah.
And it was really stressful.
It seems like that's kind of what was happening with your last job too, from what I remember from the stories, that you were just working your ass off, and eventually you were like, if I do this, it's going to be on my terms, and I'm going to be open 11 till 3 and work my way into it. And
right. Just be comfortable. I think, the career that I was in was just killing me very slowly. It actually did make me very sick. I mean, the week before I opened the store, I was diagnosed with colitis.
Really?
And it's not a death sentence. It's not, like some terminal illness. But what it was an indication of was the stress that had built up in my body that was just wrecking my body.
Yeah.
And to know that now, when somebody comes to my restaurant, they're like, tell me about how you got out of a 6-figure income selling advertising and being a sales executive to flipping burgers in a gas station.
Hanging out in the gas station.
I was like, man, I can tell you right now, I said, I always look at him in the face. I say, do you see the smile on my face? They said, yeah. I go, yeah, I never had that smile before.
Mm-hmm.
It's like selling somebody advertising. No one ever called me and they were like, Billy, that was the best advertising I ever bought.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
I did have a couple of clients for one product I sold that were really excited about it, but I left the industry. It's not like they kept in touch. Nobody cared.
You probably hear that a lot with your burgers though.
Well, I know I go outside
a little rewarding,
Yeah. I see a table of 4, or a mom and a kid or, a couple sitting there and say, how is the burger? And they say, this is the best burger we ever had. And that's rewarding. And I know that they'll come back and I know they'll tell other friends, and that's, like when you sell a house, right. And somebody's really happy with the experience. I mean, look at Brett, right. He's used you twice. He had a good experience. He wanted, needed another house or needed to sell something and came back to you again, right. Like that's very rewarding. That means you did a good job. It means he trusts you. He probably told others about you, and And that's kind of like what we're looking for in the career that I had before. It's none of that. It's just so unrewarding. So working for people, most of the people I worked for were just not good people.
Yeah.
And now I get to treat my employees the way that I never got treated. Well, not never. Most of the time didn't get treated that way.
Yeah.
And
I love that about you. We were talking about that for 30 minutes before podcast or before we started recording here. Just about you pouring into your employees and your employees not wanting to leave. And like, that's how we run our business. And it's refreshing to see other people do the same thing. One thing that you're not going to mention is that you've won every award that there is, and Atlanta Best Burgers, Georgia's Best Burgers, all of the best burgers. So you've got people coming to NFA from Savannah to eat a burger. Do you feel kind of famous sometimes? Do you ever have people like wanting to take your picture with them? And
I have. I think that's utterly ridiculous, quite frankly.
yeah.
I've had a handful. I would say it's not a regular occurrence, but I do get people, and I'm like, what do you... And all I keep thinking was back to when I worked at 96 Rock. I went to a remote out in Douglasville. So I had to go to this bar out in Douglasville, and one of the DJs came out and did their thing, and I had to set up banners, and they had these 96 Rock banners. And we were changing logos at the time. So we didn't have any swag. Somebody would come up to me and say, look, can I have one of those banners? And I go, yeah, sure, take a banner. What are you going to do with it? I'm going to put it in my room. And all I kept thinking was, why? Like it didn't make sense to me. But they were so passionate about 96 Rock, and they loved it so much. And it was like, if you ever met somebody who listened to 96 Rock growing up, it was like their favorite thing to do every day was get in the car and listen to it, right? So it kind of took me a while. Like I had to think back about those days. Like, yeah, those people are just really passionate. So when somebody asks to take a picture with me, I think about that experience that I had back in 96 Rock. I go, yeah, that's how invested they are in what we do.
Yeah.
That they want to have a memento of some kind. I wouldn't want a picture of me on my phone.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I've got plenty of pictures of you on my phone.
Right. Right. But you know what I mean? Like and the awards are fun. I've never gone after an award. Like it'd be cool to get a Michelin Bib Gourmand or something.
Yeah. Your social media posts don't say vote for us for blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll make a post that says like, look, if you're so inclined to vote for us, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But not bad. I don't ever beg anybody. Please vote for me. We need to win. We need this thing.
Yeah. Well, now with social media too, it's kind of like 96 Rock, where you were such a big, or 96 Rock, not you, but 96 Rock was a huge part of their lives. Every time they got in the car, every time that they got home, they were thinking to themselves, I'm going to turn on 96 Rock. And your burgers were kind of like that with Instagram. People got used to seeing the burgers. They got used to getting excited about where you were going next and, what they were going to see. And then you open up NFA, start doing real well, start winning all these awards, and people are looking at that from the outside in, and you just don't even know that they're watching you like that.
Yeah.
But then when they show up at your business, it's special for them. It might not be special for you. It might look like another customer.
It's really,
but for them, they're like, that's Billy. That's the man right there.
It's very humbling.
It's cool.
It's not something I ever expected. I don't know that I do that in other restaurants. I mean, I think I probably have.
I think you do.
Actually, I have.
I've seen you travel across the country to meet a burger expertise. So
right, but like I guess I have. Like I've gone to Franklin Barbecue in Austin and asked Aaron Franklin for a picture.
Yeah.
So I've done it. I guess I've done it. I just didn't expect it. Aaron Franklin's like barbecue legend.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm not burger legend. George Mokes is a burger legend. When we have people come from Argentina, France, England. We had two guys driving from Boston to Florida, and we are not on the way. Really, we're in between, but not really on the way. And they're like, "What are you doing here?" They're like, "Oh, we drove here for a burger. We took a 2-hour detour to come for a burger." I'm like, "That's amazing, right?"
Yeah.
It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling to know that people are coming to Dunwoody because of something that I do. Like, I think that's kind of cool to know that when somebody's sitting at the picnic tables, like, hey, where should I go for dessert? I'm like, oh, you want the best gelato? Go to Novo Cucina. Oh, you want to drink and want to watch the Braves game? Go to Barn. You want, some Mexican food, or you want whatever. Like, I get excited when people come to Dunwoody and then say, like, what else should I be doing here? And then I'm able to tell them.
Yeah. So, and Dunwoody's embraced you as well.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is the hard part about expansion, right? This is my network. I've lived in Dunwoody since 1998.
Right.
So, I know a lot of people here. My wife has been a teacher in the community for 27 years.
Yeah.
Right. So we know a lot of people. And, we used to go to like Brewster's or Yogli Mowgli or wherever. And my wife we couldn't get to the table. We couldn't get to the cashier.
Yeah.
Because it was like Mrs. Kramer.
That's how teachers are. Yeah.
Right. And now it's like Mrs. Kramer, Mr. Kramer, Mrs. Kramer, Mr. Kramer.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun. But, just having a good time. The thing that worries me about expansion is I don't know how I do that in Alpharetta.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends who live there, but like, I don't.
It would be different.
Yeah. I mean, my kids didn't go to Alpharetta High School or Milton or whatever. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
And it's funny that Dunwoody wants you to open all these other stores, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, it's kind of special that it's just here in Dunwoody.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, I go to Lawrenceville all the time. That's where my business is. And people in Lawrenceville know of NFA Burger. And that's cool to me. And they know Perimeter Mall and NFA Burger. Cheesecake Factory, NFA Burger.
Right.
I mean, if that puts Dunwoody on the map, that's cool.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's been a lot of fun. I have friends in like New York who will say like, oh, I heard of this burger place in Atlanta. It's in a gas station. And like my best friend will be like, yeah, my friend Billy owns that thing. Just random conversations with people.
Yeah.
Who you don't think know each other or don't think like, why would Dan know about a burger joint in Atlanta?
Did you know that Discover Dunwoody plays a vital role in supporting our local businesses? By attracting visitors, they help generate revenue for shops, restaurants, and hotels in the area. Their efforts in marketing Dunwoody is not only benefits the tourists, but it also creates jobs and boosts our local economy. So if you're passionate about supporting local, which I know you are, be sure to follow Discover Dunwoody on social media for updates on featured businesses and events. And if you know anybody planning a visit, send them to discoverdunwoody.com/whatsupdunwoody to find great hotel options. So by booking through that link, you'll be supporting this show and you'll be contributing to the growth of our community. So let's champion our local businesses together.
Right. I think so we're going to be at the Charleston Food and Wine Festival in March. And I was looking at the roster of.
Is that because you have a friend there?
No.
Why go to Charleston?
Because it's a really cool food and wine festival. Okay. And there are a lot of people like, here's what I'll tell you. Vinny Cimino, who's going to be a part of the Burger Benefit, is a James Beard nominated chef from Cleveland. He was asked to be there. Like it's a big, like some of these food and wine festivals, it's like they're bigger and better than others.
That's cool.
And or have more prestige. And so the opportunity arose to be at one of the events. And I was looking at the roster last night of the other restaurants we're going to be around. I'm like, oh my God, like what are we doing here?
Yeah.
But we're going to go do that and try and what I was getting at was when I was filling out the form last night, they're like, what city are you in? Dunwoody, not Atlanta. We're in Dunwoody.
Yeah.
Right. And I think a lot of people would say I'm in Atlanta. And I'm proud to say like, hey, this is where NFA was built. It's in Dunwoody. Yeah. It's not Atlanta. We're Metro Atlanta. Nobody should, get upset that I say Dunwoody. 15 years ago, my address said Atlanta. If you still mail something to me in Atlanta, we still get it.
Right.
But Dunwoody is a city, that helped foster my business. And I like the fact that when I go to an event like that, then I'm not trying to run away from it. I'm actually trying to run to it, which is fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And the same way, like it's a Dunwoody. I love it when people, especially my real estate friends, hear the term Dunwoody somewhere and remember me. And that's the first thing they thought about. There was the Snyderman case was on the other night, and I had like probably 10 people message me and be like, they're talking about Dunwoody on, whatever this true crime show was.
Yeah. Well, I was there that morning. I was there that morning. So
were you?
Yeah, my son was in daycare there.
Oh wow, what a crazy one!
Yeah, it was not. It was I was actually on a job interview that day.
Wow.
I had a guy fly to Atlanta and interview me, and I got the call, and I said, "We got to go." He's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Something bad happened." We drove to the. By the way, I mean that's Dunwoody Prep. I mean that's 300 feet from NFA Burger.
It is.
Right, but that's the community. That's how talking about my community. Like both my kids went to Dunwoody Prep, and my kids went to Davis, and they both went to Dunwoody. They, I mean, this is where I live. So,
yeah. Well, tell us a little bit. Give me 2 minutes about the burger benefit, where you have found people from all over the country, all over the world, actually, at this point, to come and make burgers. I know we've done past episodes. If you want to hear more about Billy, go to those past episodes. There's some really cool stuff about where you began, and now we did one episode that was just about the burger benefit. But talk a little bit about the burger benefit.
Yeah, go to the other episodes. You can see how much weight I've gained over the years, how much more fat I have in my face.
Well, you have to try all their food, right?
So the burger benefit, I started the burger benefit 2 years ago. All of the proceeds benefit the Giving Kitchen, which is an organization that benefits food service workers. I'll give you an example. This past year's burger benefit, we raised $65,000. 5 days later, hurricanes ravaged Asheville, North Carolina, a bunch of other areas, but the restaurant community in Asheville still has not come back completely.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And that $65,000 we helped raise went to applicants from that area who were in the restaurant industry, who all of a sudden didn't have a job and weren't going to be able to pay their bills. And so it's one of the few charities, I think, in the world where you raise $1 and that dollar goes to somebody that could be, a person you deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah.
That
the people that you like to be around, that you're with all day, every day.
You go to like your favorite restaurant and that server breaks their leg somehow, and you've been going there for years. Like that's a personal connection. And the fact that the Giving Kitchen exists for that person to apply for funds to help keep them in the restaurant industry and let the restaurant industry know that they're cared for and that people appreciate them is pretty important to me. So I created the burger benefit 2 years ago. The third one will be May 4th, 2025. Originally, I had this idea where I was going to move it around the country, but this is what I decided was this is my thing. And I live in Dunwoody, and it's going to be in Dunwoody until I say it's not. Yeah. So we have 26 chefs already lined up for 2025. We've got James Beard award winners, Michelin star, burger experts, literally George Most, literally the burger expert in the world's biggest burger expert. We've got guys coming from Austin, Nashville, Jacksonville, just signed one from Charleston last night. Cleveland, Vinny's coming from Cleveland. I mean, we're just gonna bring them from everywhere. They're gonna come and cook burgers for a couple hours. That's it. And then the proceeds go to the Giving Kitchen. Anything not covered by sponsorship, I personally cover. So I want 100% of the proceeds to go to the charity.
Yeah.
Not part of the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds goes to the charity. We have Kevin Rathman, locally, we have Kevin Rathman, Freddie Money from Atlas. We've got Hector Santiago, Terry Koval, Robert Owens. I'm going to miss names and they're going to get mad at me. But just go look at the list, burgerbenefit.com. It's an amazing list. And I love that you make it like a raffle where you throw your name in, you buy your ticket, and then you give them a ticket to go see Rathman, or you go. Right. So you choose your time. I choose which chef goes in that time.
Yeah.
Now this year it's going to be different. We're going to have 2 time slots. So we'll have 10 chefs at 1 to 3, and then 10 chefs 3 to 5. So it'll be a little less. It's just going to be different. We're going to have a live auction. I'm trying to get a local musician and restaurant owner to play at the burger benefit, Jeff Malconian. That is you.
Okay.
I'm going to keep pressuring you until
That's
you
what I was
yes.
thinking, but
yeah, until he says yes, I'm going to keep pressuring.
Does he still do the REM cover band stuff?
He does a remakes. He's got the Burnt Ends, I think, is another band he's in.
The Burnt Ends.
And I think if I'm...
You guys are obsessed with food.
Sorry, Jeff. I'm not a music guy. If I screwed that up, I apologize. Try to get him to play and just raise some money and have fun and bring the spotlight to Dunwoody. Discover Dunwoody is our official partner, and they're going to help get hotel rooms for the people coming in from out of the city. Rough Draft is going to pitch in with an advertising program like they have in the past. My PR firm, Gray Fox PR, doesn't ask for extra money to promote the burger benefit. So everybody's chipping in. You're going to do what you do to help promote it.
Always.
And we're going to bring the spotlight to Dunwoody. And this year, the goal is to make hundreds of thousands, not 65,000.
Yeah. And it's great that you're raising money, and it's great that everybody gets really excited about it. But I know that the happiest person there is you, because you get all of your buddies from all over the country, all these people you look up to. You ask a favor and they come.
Yeah,
and it seems like everybody that you ask comes.
Yeah,
might not feel like that, but
it's kind of fun. The first year was like I was a kid in a candy store. I'm like, oh my God, I get to hang out with George.
All of these options.
I get to hang out with all these people. The most fun thing about the event is seeing the chefs help each other and talk to each other and
get to meet each other. Yeah.
What I've noticed like last year, my favorite booth was Shai Lavi's booth. He was making burgers. His buddy is Nick Leahy, who was one of the burger benefit participants, and Nick stuck around and they cooked burgers. He helped him make his Peter burger, and they were having the best time. And Shai's kid was, on the grill, helping out and doing stuff. It was just a lot of fun to watch these guys work together. And I think one of the really cool things is you don't realize, I don't, because I wasn't in the restaurant industry until 5 years ago, but how incestuous the community is. And Terry Koval worked with Hector at Wrecking Bar or whatever, it's just amazing how how friendly everybody is. And I think the cool thing about the Giving Kitchen, it doesn't have a lot of they don't have a lot of partners or contributors that aren't heavily invested in the outcome of the restaurant industry.
Yeah.
And I'm going to throw Jack in the Box under the bus. I like Jack in the Box. I went to University of Arizona. A sourdough bacon jack at 2 a.m. is awesome. Not at 2 p.m, but only at 2 a.m.
2 a.m.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to eat that thing sober. But those guys are making food, and it's all about numbers and how many locations you open, and they care about their employees, but that's not their primary goal.
Yeah.
Right. And the primary goal that I've found with restaurants that are heavily involved in the Giving Kitchen are create a great experience for the customer and take care of your people.
Yeah.
And so when you get all these people in one spot, you can really feel it, and when I ask Vinny Cimino to come down from Cleveland, that guy gets asked to do things every day.
Yeah.
Every day he gets asked
turns
for
people down every day.
He gets asked to come. He gets asked to do charity events. He's flying down from Cleveland. Matt Hyland, same thing. He just opened a restaurant. He's got 2 young kids. Him and his wife own a couple of concepts in Austin. I'm like, hey, you coming? He's like, absolutely. I'm not missing that thing. Yeah. It's just that this is where they want to be. They want to be around people who love the industry,
who get them, people that understand them. Like, I think that's why we have such good conversations, because when you're complaining about the store or, excited about something, I
never
get
complain about the store.
How about customers?
Never complain about customers. Never complain.
Reviews.
I am always happy. No,
it's those people are there because they know that you live the same life as them, and that's cool,
right?
And they don't get that many opportunities probably to go to a cool place where everybody there gets them.
No, and also it's one of the easiest events for a chef to participate in.
Yeah,
you have to cook for 60 people in 2 hours. It's a real easy event.
Do they need I know how anal you are with your grill and how, it has to be perfect because that's how you make the perfect burger. Were some of them like that? I know you always tell me, I've heard the story about galas where, their grill couldn't keep up. It was just a different type of grill than you're used to. Do they run into any of those issues?
I didn't know anything about, the problem is I didn't know anything about grills.
Yeah.
Now I know too much about grills.
Okay. So they're all happy with what you've got.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I know they're not all doing smash burgers,
I'm not happy. I'm going to bring in, I used Blackstones last year. There's nothing wrong with the Blackstone, but it's not the kind of burger these guys want to be, it's not the grill they want to be cooking on. So I'm actually going to invest. I say invest.
I thought this was going to be the story.
So I'm bringing in there's a place in LA called LA Taco Carts. Every exceptional pop-up in the country uses LA Taco Cart grills.
Okay.
And I have friends who, people I've become friends with in the industry. In fact, one of them is going to be cooking at the event. Nick Lepore, a burger buff. He uses LA Taco Cart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring those grills in. They're stainless steel. Everybody's going to cook the burger the perfect burger. And then what I'm going to do is auction the grills off afterwards.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm going to have every chef is going to sign. I'm going to have like these plates, and they'll autograph the plates, and then we'll put them on the grill.
Very cool.
Have like an autographed grill from all the chefs at the Burger Benefit.
Nice.
And but so I'm obsessive compulsive about that stuff. Like, to ask Kevin Rathbun or Vinny or George Moats to come down and cook at my event, and then not give them the opportunity to illustrate exactly how great they are.
Yeah.
Is a crime against food.
Yeah.
And I recognize that. And I also think that's like one of the benefits of doing an event with me is that, run by a restaurant guy who cares a lot. Is like, I care a lot, and they know that. They're like, I'm going to do my best to not let them be embarrassed.
Yeah, you're going to give them love.
And I know it's for charity. And they're like, well, it's for charity. It's not a big deal. It's like, well, it's still your name on it. And I want you to put your best foot forward. And I don't want to be the reason you don't.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so I'm going to put you on the spot here. Give me 2 of your favorite burgers around the country. They don't have to be your friends. This has to be the best burger that you've had, because I know you've had almost all of them.
Yeah, I mean, it is putting me on the spot. I mean, here's what I would say. If I'm in New York, I'm going to Hamburger America, and I'm having George Moats' Oklahoma fried onion burger.
Yeah.
I've flown up to New York, no joke, for a pop-up.
I know.
For my buddy Nick, who's going to cook, Burger Buff. Last year, he was cooking at a buddy's birthday party. He didn't know that I knew the guy.
Yeah.
And so I just showed up. I was like, well, I'm flying up for burger.
Our last podcast, you went for just a meal. I think you took your wife on this nice vacation. I forgot where you were, but
it could have been awesome.
You were excited about seeing your boy.
Yeah. I mean, it's so like Vinny Cimino does a great job with his. He's got a really unique burger up in Cleveland. So I don't have favorite burgers anymore. I don't rank them anymore. I just go to a place where I know I'm going to enjoy the food. My friends hate when I go out and order burgers. They hate it.
That's how people are with pizza.
They're like, Billy, you're not going to like pizza? It. They're like, Billy, you're not going to like it. Why are you ordering a burger? You're not going to like it.
Because you got to know what the competition's doing,
But I might not like. I might like it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, what if I did like it? Awesome. What are they doing right? How is it better?
I told you earlier, I was having frozen pizza. I had Red Baron last night, and it was delicious.
Yeah, man, I could go for a Tombstone pizza right now. That was, like a nice, like slightly burnt Tombstone pizza.
Yeah. We're not bougie with our burgers and
fine.
pizza.
It's fine, right? So, I mean, like I always say this, I tell people all the time, like, sometimes you want a Big Mac. It's okay. I mean, I grew up eating McDonald's. Like, my love of being in a restaurant and process and
came from that.
And all that stuff is like my experience of going there and looking at the manual that they had behind the counter. My sister worked there, and seeing that it was like 83 seconds from the time you order to the time you get your food, and like that stuff has like left a really big impression in my mind. Back to your question, name 2 burgers. I can't do it anymore. I can tell you, Ford Fry asked me where, for some burger recommendations in New York, and I was like, here are 3.
Yeah.
Like, have fun. You're going to enjoy yourself.
When he came on the podcast, he was one where I was a little starstruck. He was one restaurateur that I had heard of, and that, I knew who he was, and I knew what I could screw up on the podcast.
Yeah,
I was a little.
When people don't understand who Ford Fry is, I go, he once cooked burgers for Iron Man and Spider-Man.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Right?
Yep.
Like he
and
was.
I wish I would have watched that before we recorded the podcast, but it was like later that day. Somebody was like, "You know who this guy is, right?" And I was,
I know. I knew who he was before I saw that episode with Jon Favreau. That show Jon Favreau had.
Yeah.
But when I watched the episode, I'm like, that guy's cooking for.
That's cool.
Spider-Man and Iron Man at the same freaking table. I mean, that's like pretty badass.
Well, I mean, now that Assembly's here, they might be coming to NFA. But let's wrap it up, man. Yeah. I really appreciate everything you do for the community. I know that Dunwoody appreciates you. If you haven't had an NFA burger, you've got to go have an NFA burger. Best smash burger around.
Yeah. I mean, look, we work hard. There are 8 billion people on the planet. We're not going to please everybody. It's not because we're not trying to. What I tell everybody is that, if you're unhappy with your meal at any restaurant, tell the restaurant.
Say something.
Say something, man. Your family has never made a pizza that you're like, hey, man, I hope that person hates it.
Oh, man, I would so much rather give away a $25 pizza than not hear from the person and them never come back.
Yeah.
And then that's what happens. That's how I deal with things. I'm not going to write a bad review, or I probably won't even say anything to the restaurant, but I just won't go back there. And I wish that people would just say, hey, there's too much cheese on this.
I will. I know. The next time you go out to a restaurant, if you leave unhappy, that's on you.
Yeah.
Okay. Give the restaurant the opportunity to make you happy, because that's what we all want.
Yeah.
Now she'll probably never come back. I don't think she really was a huge Smash Burger fan, but we did everything we can to make it so that she had an opportunity to enjoy herself. Right. And I think, about Dunwoody, and I'll wrap that up with Dunwoody. All the people in Dunwoody, all the owner operators, David Abis, Jeff Melkonian, Nick from Naitai, Miguel Romero from Los Hermanos, Darren from Chupitos.
Let me cut you off. You're going to name everybody.
I am going to name everybody. But I mean, all these, I'm going to name.
I know you.
Charlie Wasabi and Mike from Nick and Rafiq. Yes, I'm going to name everybody. But one thing they all have in common is that they want you. The reason this is a great community in Dunwoody is that they all want you to have a good time and come back.
Yep.
And if you give them the chance to do it, they will make you happy, or at least they'll try. But if you just want to go on a Facebook group and be the star of the show, you're not helping anybody, especially yourself, quite frankly.
No.
Right? Like, you're just not.
You're going to get attacked at this point.
Well, but I mean, like if you don't like something, don't you want it to be right? That's what I always think.
Yeah.
So give somebody the chance to make it right, just like you would at your place. Or if somebody wasn't happy with the way you were treating them, selling them a house, you would change your behavior. You wouldn't tell them to stick it.
Yeah. And I think people are surprised when you say, oh, sorry, we didn't do a half and half pizza. I'll have one out there in 15 minutes. They're like, oh, well, I'll come pick it up. Like, no, let me deliver it to you. I'll tip the driver. Everything's taken care of. Like, that customer is going to be a lot more excited next 5 times that they order,
Also, they are probably going to give another restaurant the benefit of the doubt moving forward.
Yeah, maybe.
And, that's what I always think too. So, Matt, thanks for doing what you do. I know you get beat up a lot. I know there's like Facebook groups now that are like, you're in the zeitgeist. You have a Facebook group of people who, are mean to you.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun.
I've gotten to that point, that level of influencer where everybody's trying to tear you down. Yeah, feels good.
It feels great, doesn't it? It's awesome.
I was going through all of the names that I've been called, and I was taking screenshots of them. I was thinking about making like a video of just being like, here's what happens when you start running Facebook groups or, putting your face out there.
Yeah, that's okay. What you do is not it's the thing that sucks is that it's you have such good intentions.
I know.
And like well-meaning, and it's like,
but if somebody doesn't know me personally, I can see how that wouldn't be. I don't know. Why am I taking their side?
I don't know. I don't know why you're taking their side. Anyway, thank you for doing everything you do. And thank you for allowing me to announce NFA #1 on your podcast just over 5 years ago.
Well, you tell me when NFA 2 is ready.